Obviously, in the MMA world, the UFC is the creme de la creme, the top of the food chain. But where do all these fighters really come from? The answer, the regional scene. And comparing the regional scene from the early 2000s to today really is a night and day difference. The 2000s used to be this like gritty underground, what I would consider the wild, wild west, is now this like flourishing, reaching the masses, super talented fighters that maybe we didn't get back in the day. In this video, I'm comparing the top 5 ways that the regional scene of MMA has evolved over the last decade plus. Once again, I just want to give a big shout out to our supporters and our subscribers. I couldn't do this without you. My name is Brendan, and this is Knuckle Sandwich, and this is the evolution of regional MMA. Legacy Fighting Alliance has put together an absolute stacked card for the return to Louisville, Kentucky.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the main event of the evening.
Regional pro fighters such as Jeremy Henry, Steve Collins, Alexander Shank, and Mateo Garner have their eyes set on the next big stage, while amateurs Todd Pickett, Gates Cook, Scott Calver, and Eric Sanchez look to make a name for themselves among the elite. Get your tickets today only on Ticketmaster.com for LFA 210 on June 13th. Now, disclaimer, keep this in mind. These are my opinions. There's a ton of ways that regional MMA has changed over the last few years, but these are my top 5. Now, let's actually get onto the video. Number 5, venues. Without trying to sound like this, back in my day, kind of old man trying to tell you old war stories, I really did want to throw this picture up to show you what venues looked like back in the day. Fights would be hosted at National Guard armories, abandoned warehouses, and mostly places that could barely squeeze 100 to 200 people in them. The lighting was always terrible, as half the time you either couldn't control the main lights, so they were all on, or you're using some floodlights from your garage. Needless to say, the point here is that it was all pieced together like a puzzle and you were trying to make this Van Gogh picture. It just didn't really always turn out the best. But now, you still have the fights in these underground feeling places, but they're just so much cooler. Breweries with bowling lanes, music venues, outdoor in the heart of downtown surrounded by different businesses. Things like this are just another huge selling point, not only for fighters to come to your shows, but for promotions, as it actually adds to the entertainment value of the show itself. Number 4, fighter performance. Okay, let's be completely honest here. This is a really hard one for me because I honestly will go back and forth on this. Fighters back in the day fought anyone. They wanted to be the best. They didn't care about the name, the other guy's record, where he trained at, his specialties. It just didn't matter. They literally just wanted to prove that they were the best in the region. And nowadays, that really is truly hard to come by due to increased quote-unquote record padding. In my honest opinion though, I think the technical abilities of fighters have improved leaps and bounds since the start. We used to get brawls with every single fight because everyone wanted to brag about knocking somebody out, and going to the ground showed that you were weak. Not true. But now you get 2 really good jiu-jitsu guys matched together and you just might have one of the either best rock'em sock'em robot fights or technical fights that you've ever seen. I think that is what draws me more towards fighters today versus before. You truly just never know what you're going to get. Number 3, knowledge of the MMA world. This section, in my opinion, really, it could just be a big old shout out to Tapology. In the early 2000s, I remember us literally driving city to city to find out that there were other gyms in the area. Besides spending hundreds of dollars in gas every week, the only other way to find fighters was to have connections in every city, or the whole I have a guy that may know a guy type of thing. Then comes Tapology in 2010, and of course, I wasn't using the website back then because I was only 11 years old, but I can only imagine that it has come leaps and bounds again since it was first created. Pair that with the never-ending YouTube and Facebook searches, and bada bing, bada boom, you have yourself a whole region of fighters' names, weight classes, and records in the palm of your hands. Number 2, top-level gyms. Okay, let's be completely honest here. A lot of gyms in the beginning phase were just fans of the sport who watched UFC on Saturdays yelling, "He sucks and I could do better." And after a few too many cold ones and a $60 charge on their credit card for fight shorts and hand-me-down gloves, they find themselves in the cage and really confused. I still remember DVD sets like 1001 Submissions, the book Wrestling for Dummies with Henry Cejudo on the front, and Boxing 101. That was some of the only training some fighters really ever had to start. And now we fast forward some years and those exact guys are running some of the most developed gyms in the region. Places like Memphis Judo and Jiu-Jitsu with Andy Urich and Zach Underwood, Aero Athletics with Anthony Jones, Law School, Brian Hall, Jason Aldridge, and Bushido, Yona Yisrael. All of these guys are former fighters from the early days running the show, and the level of talent coming out of these gyms are super high caliber. Let's take Danny Barlow for instance. Coming out of law school, and do I really need to remind you what he did to Quinlan back at UFC 298? But for real, the level the gyms are today versus how they were are a major difference maker in the regional scene. Number one, streaming services. This might be partial to me, mainly because of our YouTube channel. But who else remembers the days of no live streams of regional fights? Everything was filmed on Walmart camcorders that had the lowest frames per second. It was always grainy, and half of the time it either stopped recording mid-fight due to the battery dying and you not having the cord, or it wasn't long enough, or the guy running the camera was a teammate of a fighter and all you can hear is him yelling directions at the guy. Just me? No, I didn't think so either. Even when you could finally quote unquote stream live on Facebook, 99% of the time then, it was just as bad as the pre-recorded stuff. Thank God for technology advancements. Nowadays, there are a ton of streaming services and platforms with better quality and connectivity. Facebook, realistically, it is kind of better now. YouTube, pay-per-view sites, and of course, Knuckle Sandwich YouTube page. Hit me up, promoters. The point is, it is so much easier to watch regional fights at the smaller shows online than ever before, which in turn brings even more eyes on the fighters, and that is the whole point of all of this. Duh. So there you have it. Those are my top 5 ways that the regional scene of MMA has truly evolved over the past decade plus. Again, these are my opinions, so if you have any other ways that you think that this has evolved, make sure to comment down below, and also make sure to hit that subscribe button. Again, thank you so much for your support. It means the world. We'll see you next time.